Hello, I'm Clay Thompson. Thank you for being here. I'm honored that I insisted that I introduce Mikey. I was not invited to introduce Mikey. I invited myself to introduce Mikey. Okay, so in January of this year, as we know, Summer Mounting passed away. Neil's wife. And after a long battle with cancer, and after she passed, Bart sent this email to all of us, and it said this, and it really struck me. He said, "One way to honor Neil and Summer is to keep doing what you are doing, support and love each other and our clients." And Bart means that, and I feel that same way. And that's great to be a part of a place that's true. And not every day is great, and there's a lot of stress that can come from our work. It's frustrating at times, and it's hard to let it go when it's time at night to be with your family and on the weekend maybe. But we have a great love for each other and our work. And I thought about why that is. Why is it easy to love each other and our clients? Because most of us have had other jobs. Mikey, I don't think, has had another job. Mikey has this charmed life where, he has the best job in the world right out of the gate. But most of us have had bad jobs, or jobs that we don't love, that we like. I love my job, I really do. And I thought about, why do I love my job? And why is it easy? Because you love your job, you love the people you work with. It's easier to love the people you work with, and the reason is that our cause is just. We have a good thing. We're doing a good thing. And the good thing that we're doing is we're representing deserving people. And so we have the honor to represent people that had this terrible thing happen to them that shouldn't have happened, that they didn't deserve, that wasn't their fault, and we get to do something about it. And what I've heard, I know many of us have heard from many clients, from many different clients, and sometimes it's when I'm meeting with them to give great news about their case, and sometimes it's when I've been meeting with them to say, look, the law in your state is not great, and we're going to do the best we can, and so it's not always in the context of a great meeting where we're giving great news to a client, but you'll hear, from the client to me, I'm just happy that someone is representing us and me. I'm glad that someone is standing up for us. And those are great people. And we need to do our very best for those people, for our clients. They deserve great representation, and it's an honor to represent them. And it's not just the attorneys. When the discovery team is sending letters to people and phone calls, and the settlement people are following up on releases, and we're contacting the treating doctors to get the medical records, or the hospitals to get the medical records. We're doing that on behalf of deserving people. We're doing that on behalf of great clients. And that's why I love my job. I've realized that in the months that I thought about this. And because I love my job, it kind of feeds over into loving the people I work with. And you love your clients, right? So Bart's comment is absolutely true. And that's a great thing to be a part of. And I'm very happy to be a part of it. And when we sit in a deposition, or we're in court, and you go around the room, and you have to identify who you're there for. The attorneys, we get to say, I'm here for Ralph North, I'm here for Roger Kinsey. I see these pictures of clients that we represented. There's somebody in that room, some defense lawyer, who's got to act like he's excited to be there for McJunkin or Felpro. I get to be there for Ralph North. I get to be there for a great person, a great client. And all these other lawyers have got to act like they're excited to be there for Felpro or somebody else, right? We don't have that problem. We represent great, deserving clients. So thank you for the clients that are not here. Thank you for letting us represent you. Thank you, sir, for letting us represent you. It's an honor, and we love to do it. Okay, so Mikey and I go back a while with the firm. Mikey joined several years ago. We worked a lot together, very hard. We had trials in Philadelphia where Christian had us working all night. And Jen Falkenhayn and Mikey and I and Erica were up the night before the Ross closing, and Christian was too. We spent a lot of time together. Mikey is an example of someone who loves his clients, and his clients love him. And I love Mikey. I'm not ashamed to say it. I love Mikey. His clients love Mikey. My daughter loves Mikey. This is my 8-year-old daughter. Mikey came to stay with us in New Jersey when he was seeing a client in Pennsylvania, and he stayed overnight with us, and she loves Mikey. And Mikey and I have had this connection that I've realized existed before we even met. So this is like the mid-90s. There's a young Mikey, there's a young strapping Clay Thompson, and we have the same haircut. And we also share the same name. Mikey probably doesn't want to tell you this, but his middle name is Clayton. He's kept that a secret the best he can, but that's his middle name. And I call Mikey my brother-in-law because he's my brother in the law. And Mikey never calls me his brother-in-law, which I think is a little, you know, I don't really get offended by it because I call him my brother-in-law. So, without further ado, I give you M. Clayton Mudd, Esquire.
Can we have him?
Please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Clay. I love you too. Just kind of ripping off what Clay said, the fact that we're able to represent good people, and we don't have to show up to these depositions, you know, thinking of ways to get jazz to represent companies like Velcro. I haven't prepared anything for today, but I did think about this exercise about 20 minutes ago. If everybody could just, I'm not very new agey, but if everybody could just like close their eyes or put their head down for a minute, and I just want you to imagine that you are at a client appreciation day at a defense firm, and what that would be like. I can't imagine it would be happy, it would be a celebration. I can't imagine I would see smiles across the room like I am now. I think that we're extremely fortunate to do what we do and represent the people that we represent. Today we're going to hear the perspective of multiple people in multiple roles in our firm. Micah Curiel is going to come up and talk about the perspective from the medical department. We're going to see an amazing video that talks about a Christmas tradition that Steve Reinberg's clients, the Frodsham family, does every year for Christmas. We're going to hear stories from multiple attorneys about their clients. Bethany Aspirin is going to come up and talk about Susan Falbo in West Virginia. Rancilio is going to come up, or Shades as we like to refer to him as, is going to come up and talk about his client Don Moody. Darcy is going to talk about David Saucer. Kelly is going to talk about her special client Shandy Speedy. I am going to talk about Lou Von Till. But before I do that, and he's not going to be here later to hear me talk about him, thankfully, but I would like to introduce him to everybody. He is here today. I think he has something special planned for us, so if everybody could give him your attention, I would greatly appreciate it.
Holy mackerel. I didn't expect to do this morning. I had no idea I was going to do this. But such a well-attended situation here, and I haven't practiced this at all. But I have a story to tell you, which is kind of a little entertaining. It hasn't anything to do with your professions or anything like that. But I thought you might be interested to hear it. It's a poem by one of my favorite authors, Robert Service. He was a Canadian. He was in World War I in the Canadian Army. He was an ambulance driver. He was a writer. He died probably about 40, 50 years ago. And I've always admired his writing. He's writing. And if you're a Canadian, you know who I'm talking about because he's one of the favorites authors for people from Canada, I've noticed. His popularity never seems to wane. I'm going to tell you a story that he wrote. He wrote about the life around the Arctic Circle, people looking for gold, going on dog sleds and stuff like that. And it goes like this. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who boil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the South to roam around the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell. And he'd often say in his homely way, he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson trails. Chalk of the cold to your partner's fold is stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes were closed, then the lashes froze, and sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we laid packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, the dogs were fed, the stars overhead were dancing, heel and toe. He turns to me, Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess, and if I do, I'm asking that you don't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low I couldn't say no, then he says, with a sort of a moan, it's the cursed cold, it's got right hold, and I'm chilled clean through to the bone. It ain't been dead, it's the awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul affair, you'll cremate my last remains. Now a man's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I wouldn't fail. We started on the streak of dawn. God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched in the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. But before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror-driven with a corpse, half hid, that I couldn't get rid of because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, you may tax your brawn and your brains, but you promised truth, so it's up to you to cremate those last remains. Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in the ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, God, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavier and heavier grow. And on I went though the dogs were spent, and the grub was getting low. Till I came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and a derelict there lay. It's jammed in the ice, and I saw the trace. This is called the Alice May. I looked at it, and I thought a bit. I looked at my frozen junk and said, here, said I, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The furnace roared, the flames just soared, such a blaze you seldom see. Then I burned a hole in the glowing coal and stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the huskies howled, the heavens scowled, the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why, while the greasy smoke in an inky cloak was streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow, but I wrestled with grisly fear. But the stars came out and they danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I guess I better take a look inside. I guess it's cooked. It's time I looked. Then the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam looking cool and calm in the heat of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile. He said, please close that door. It's fine in here. But I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and the storm. Since I left my home down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who boil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee.
Thanks, Lou. It's pretty impossible to follow that. And how bad did you make Clay look? So one thing I forgot to do was thank the people that put this together. Julia, who organized the entire thing. Julia. She's humbly shaking her head, but I know you all received her hundreds of emails, so you know she organized this. Steve put together a video and a PowerPoint, and Brittany Harding put together the PowerPoint, Brittany Harding from Discovery. So everybody get All right, well, we're going to get this started. Micah Curiel from the medical department is going to come up and give her perspective of what we do from the medical department.
Wow, Lou's memory. Wish I could have that. So first I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for being here. I think it's really important for us to slow down and really be grateful and appreciate our clients and what we do. And thank you, as Mikey said, to everybody who made that happen. So for those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Micah. I have been with the firm now for about 2 years. And I started in the mailroom, like a lot of us here did. There is very limited knowledge of our clients in that department and pretty well zero contact with them. So when I made the transition to the medical team, that was definitely an eye-opener for me. So what we do is we do the medical workup for each case, and that involves a lot of things that are very detailed, but the basics include ordering all the medical records on behalf of our clients, and then once we get those in, we summarize those records for the benefit of our experts and also all of our attorneys. So this not only helps to build the case, but it also helps enhance the value of any settlements that are going to come later. So while we don't often have direct contact with the clients, reading thousands and thousands of pages of medical records is really almost like peering into these clients' diary of their life. It's truly an intimacy that's really difficult to explain, and it's a roller coaster of emotions that's really hard to put into words. So with that being said, I'd like to talk about a particular client. Her name is Mrs. Toby Maria Zerbino. This was the first summary that I ever completed, and it was the first person and story that really touched my heart. She was diagnosed with pleural mesothelioma on November 2nd of 2016 at Eisenhower Medical Center in Rancho Mirage, California. She lived in La Quinta, California with her husband, and they have 1 daughter and 2 sons. She passed shortly after her diagnosis on February 2nd, 2017. To put that into perspective, she was only able to have 2 cycles of chemotherapy, and she passed within 3 months of her diagnosis. So why do all of these small details matter to me? My husband grew up and attended high school in La Quinta, California. And since then, I have visited with him many times. I have driven by the hospital that she was diagnosed at 1,000 times. And this really, really hit home for me. I thought that could have been my mother-in-law. That could have been my aunt. Could have been my mom. That could have been my somebody. All of our clients are somebody's somebody. And sometimes it's just small details like this that remind us that these are human beings and not just names and numbers on a piece of paper. And at times, I think we don't allow ourselves to feel these emotions because maybe we're afraid that we're going to feel too much or that we'll appear weak. But we have to pull through those difficulties in order to do our job to the best of our capability. And please remember that having a soft heart equals courage, not weakness. So as hard as it might be, please read the stories that are sent to us through email when a client passes. Let the realness of that touch you and motivate you to work that much harder on their behalf, because as it's been said, these are deserving people and deserving families. I heard a quote that said, "Purpose is what guides us, but passion is what drives us." So let's set our work on fire with passion and continue to let the flames of love and compassion burn bright for our clients.
Cool. I didn't know that Sarah Gilson was here. She was, I was told that she wasn't going to make it, but here she is. Before she comes up, I just wanted to thank Micah. That was beautiful. That was wonderful. I did really like her point that everybody should read the emails that the attorneys write when a particular client passes. Those are really hard emails to write. I know that a lot of attorneys probably shed tears as they're putting together those emails, and they're extremely difficult to write. It's hard for us to put all of that out there. It really helps connect people who don't get to meet the clients on a regular basis to the work that we do. So, and it's a nice way to slow down whatever you're doing during a work day and really appreciate what we do. So, thank you. And here's Sarah Gilson talking about how to handle things like that.
Hi guys, my name is Sarah. I'm an attorney in the California office. At the end of this year will be my 10th year of representing mesothelioma victims. I'm very proud of that, very excited to celebrate that anniversary. I want to thank Southwest for running a 5 a.m. flight out of Denver for getting me here this morning. So I was asked to say a few words today about a subject that I think doesn't really get addressed on an institutional level, even though it affects every single one of us on a very personal level. And that is, as Mika was discussing, the emotional investment that this specific work takes. Our jobs are very difficult in a very unique way. We're brought into strangers' families in moments of real crisis. And in a lot of ways, our success as their lawyers comes from how close we can get to that family and how close we get to that crisis. Our clients' trust is so essential to our work. They have to trust that we're going to help them and that we understand them and that we hear them and we know what they need. And that's true for everyone in this room. That's true from the first phone call, that's true throughout investigation, discovery, deposition, and that's true for getting those checks in their hands. The people in the mailroom are so critical to our clients. What this also means for us in this room is that we're constantly dropping into a world of extreme loss and anger and fear and frustration. And then what I think is the hardest part is we're then supposed to dip right out of it again, you know, and move right on to the next family that's going through loss and fear and anger. And I think it's really obvious from the reason why we're all here today that these are not families that are easily forgotten, which makes that dipping out really hard to do. I spoke with a family friend about this who's been handling divorce and custody cases for over 40 years. So she has an understanding of sort of how intense this kind of work can be. And she said the most important thing to do is to know your role. Our role is to be the rock and the logical advisor and the place of calm. We should be the one person that our client can rely on in their lives to not be overwhelmed in the emotion of it all. She said that we are doing ourselves and our clients a disservice by getting emotionally involved. Now, I think there's some validity there, but that is way easier said than done. And I personally have found it practically impossible to stay emotionally disconnected from my clients and from what they're going through. And I think that's why a lot of us in this room even do this work to begin with. But we really can't sacrifice ourselves for the work, because running parallel to our clients' tragedies and fears are our everyday and not so everyday struggles with stress and with money and with death. So we're people too. Our clients need us, but so do our kids, and so do our partners, and so do our parents or our friends. I have a really hard time personally striking that balance, mostly because I really hate bringing my work home. I really hate bringing home how pissed off I am at a defense attorney or how sad I am after a deposition. On those days when we get a whole bunch of notification emails and I try and read each one, because I know how hard it is to write them. But that is a real gnarly energy to then bring home to your house and to extend into your broader world after a day of that. So then the question is, where do you dump it? How do you care so much and then give yourself permission to let it go and to live your life? And I think sometimes you need like a physical or a sensory jolt to sort of mentally shake off your day. I know a lot of my colleagues exercise. That's really good for them. Not my bag, but cool for you. I know my colleagues go to church, they meditate. When I really need to let go of work, I like going to really loud concerts or like a live wrestling show or something that's really chaotic and you just kind of can't think about anything. Whatever works. I also think that when you're really overwhelmed, that talking about it and talking about it honestly really helps. So I sent an email out last week about depression, and I received a whole bunch of responses from people in all the different offices across the country. And you guys may not know this, but there are a lot of people at this firm who have struggled with depression. And there are a significant number of us who have experienced the suicide of a family member or a loved one. If you're one of those people, even if you emailed me or you didn't, please know that you are not alone. Even in this room, there are more people than you could possibly imagine who have been through that experience and who understand what that means. So I think that's part of why I was asked to talk a little bit about depression and about work-life balance, just to make sure that the door to discussion and conversation on these subjects is open, and that it's opened publicly, and that it's pushed open again and again, and it stays open. I think it's really important that we touch base with each other, touch base with your coworkers, make sure they have the support that they need, touch base with yourself, make sure you're not burning out, because we really need each other. And we need each other, and our clients need us, but we need each other. There's a lot of resources out there, but I think more importantly, there's a lot of people And even if you look around, there's a lot of people in this room who really get it.
And as a result of Micah, we are here today. And I want to especially thank Micah, Brittany Harding, who put together this awesome PowerPoint presentation, Steve Reinberg, who is in Italy right now, who put together the beautiful slideshow of our clients at the beginning, and another slideshow we will be watching later. And I would also like to thank Maggie Detweiler and Jessica Detmer, who have all worked together hard on today's event. I'm going to talk to you about Pat Polubiak. Pat is 83 years young. She's beautiful. She has a contagious laugh, a wicked sense of humor, and a mischievous smile. Pat's humor and beauty lights up a room. Pat is also my aunt. I was devastated last October to learn Pat was diagnosed with mesothelioma of the pleural. It was even more devastating to learn that it was sarcomatoid. As we all know, that is the most aggressive form of mesothelioma that takes the victims way too quickly. To make matters worse, shortly after her diagnosis, Pat was told her kidneys were starting to fail and she could not receive chemotherapy. Like all cancers, mesothelioma is scary. However, most victims do not know anything about it until they receive their diagnosis. This makes it even scarier and more overwhelming. Our firm not only takes care of our clients' litigation needs, but we look out for each client's overall well-being. I am very grateful that I work at MRHFM and that we could be there for Pat and her family. Before Pat was even our client, Sarah Jett helped me direct Pat to Siteman Center. Siteman has the most progressive forms of treatment for mesothelioma in the St. Louis area. Bart gave up his Saturday to visit Pat and Don and their 5 kids and to do a sign-up. They were thrilled with Bart, and they were thrilled to sign with our firm. Shortly thereafter, Laurie Caruso asked me how Pat was doing. I told her not well. Pat is not a candidate for chemotherapy. She immediately said, have them ask for immunotherapy treatment. I had never heard of it. Immunotherapy is a relatively new treatment for lung cancer patients who either cannot receive chemotherapy or do not respond well to it. Many of our clients have had positive results with the immunotherapy treatment. Initially, the insurance company declined Pat's treatment, but thankfully for Pat's oncologist at Siteman Center, he persisted and Pat was approved for the treatment. Pat's treatment has been very successful. Her cancer has not spread, and one scan even showed it has decreased in size. This is especially amazing for sarcomatoid mesothelioma, a mesothelioma patient. This is a challenging secondary exposure case. Pat's exposures to asbestos were a result of her dad working as a cable splicer for Union Electric, and from her husband working as a plasterer and as a rigger for a few short years on boat engines. Pat and Don needed to find someone to fight hard for them. Their case was challenging, and they have a awfully, incredibly fun-loving, quirky personality. We found a good match. Darcy is a fighter who loves challenges and also has a fun, quirky personality. They are a perfect match. I called Pat one day to set up an appointment for Darcy to visit them the following Wednesday. She said, sure, but it's Don's birthday. And with that, Don yelled across the room, "Tell her I love chocolate cake." So what did Darcy do? She took them a chocolate cake. They called me that evening, laughing and talking over each other. They were on the speakerphone. Don shared a secret with me during that conversation. He said, "You know, that Darcy, she is really smart. She knows more about us than we do." And actually, I'm beginning to think that's true. Pat and Don are spending invaluable time with each other, their kids, and their grandkids. Their son, Kevin, who is in the top picture there, takes Pat and Don to every single one of Pat's immunotherapy treatments. They laugh to and from during that treatment. Pat celebrated Mother's Day with her family by 19 of them going to get pedicures together, including her husband, Don, who had his first pedicure at the age of 87. He loved it so much, he's hoping for another one for Father's Day. Pat recently spent Memorial Day at the lake with her daughter and son-in-law on the boat, laughing, swimming, and having fun. While Pat is often exhausted, and says she no longer feels like she's having her perfect days, it is hard to tell from her positive attitude and infectious smile. In addition to her time with her family, Pat is thankful for the time with her beloved miniature poodle, Coco, featured in the selfie in the car up there. Pat and Don actually rescheduled a meeting with Darcy once because they had to pick Coco up from the groomer. Before her deposition, Pat pulled 3 pictures of Coco out from her purse to show us. During the deposition, while talking about her kids, Pat commented, "I wish I had brought pictures of them." Darcy said it was all she could do to not say, "Well, I know you brought pictures of your dog." Darcy has also commented on several occasions that she wants to be reincarnated as Pat and Don's dog. When I started working at MRHFM 8 years ago, our clients diagnosed with sarcomatoid mesothelioma did not have long to live. It was usually a rush against time to complete their depositions before they died. Thanks to research and progress, the standards and methods of treatment are changing for victims of mesothelioma. Patients with mesothelioma of the peritoneum are receiving intraperitoneal chemotherapy coupled with an extensive debunking surgery to remove as many tumor nodules as possible before the heated chemotherapy wash is instilled. It's a horrible process, but it's one that is saving lives and extending lives. It's the combined pair that makes it so successful and is now the standard of care for our peritoneal patients. Thus, Shandy Speedy is still with us today and has seen her dream of becoming a mother. The various immunotherapy treatments offered around the country right now are being offered in clinical trials and are not yet considered the standard of care. Even so, the plural patients who are unable to receive or tolerate chemotherapy and/or surgery are able to try immunotherapy as a new option. Thus, Pat is still with us. Pat was diagnosed almost 8 months ago. Thanks to research, immunotherapy, and Siteman Center, Pat is still with us. As you all know, our firm sponsors an event called Pedal the Cause. And our team's name is MRHFM Meso Warriors. Pedal the Cause is a cycling event that raises money for cancer research at St. Louis Siteman Center and St. Louis Children's Hospital. Pedal the Cause has funded immunotherapy research over the last few years. It makes me proud and it gives me goosebumps to think that our Pedal the Cause team contributed to immunotherapy research and that my Aunt Pat is still alive because of her immunotherapy treatment. Today we have Dr. Jeffrey Ward with us. Dr. Ward is an oncologist at St. Louis Siteman Cancer Center. Since many of his research projects and intensive interests touch upon immunotherapy and projects funded by Pedal the Cause, Dr. Ward is going to share with us some of his knowledge. So please help me welcome Dr. Ward.
Good morning. We've got a big full room. So, as Julie said, my name is Jeff Ward. I'm one of the thoracic oncologists at Washington University in the Siteman Cancer Center. Thank you so much for inviting me to tell a little bit about our work. Pedal the Cause is really so important to us at Siteman. It really funds some really cutting-edge, breaking research that's really helped us to advance our clinical knowledge. And so just to touch on something that Julie just mentioned, as a thoracic oncologist, I treat patients with pleural mesothelioma, and I'm the principal investigator of a clinical trial we actually just completed as part of the patient Siteman as well as around the country, combining immunotherapy with chemotherapy. And so that will soon hopefully become potentially our standard of care, depending on how things look in the next few months. And so that's an example of some of the things clinically that we're doing at Siteman really to help our patients. 2018 is a really great time to have my job. And so the reason for that is for patients with mesothelioma, patients with lung cancer, we really have a lot of options that we didn't have 5 years ago. And so patients with mesothelioma at diagnosis, what we really try to do is for patients that are eligible for surgery, we'll refer them for surgery, but unfortunately the fact is the vast majority of patients will progress. And so then we really need to have good treatment options for those patients. In the past, I've really focused on chemotherapy, which is really grueling cycles of treatment every 3 weeks. There's really a point where patients wouldn't be able to tolerate too much more therapy. Immunotherapy has really changed that. And so as we've gotten smarter about figuring out how cancer works, we've recognized that the body's immune system has really evolved to do one thing, and that is to take care of pathogens, things that are dangerous like the flu. And it avoids normal tissue. That kind of has limited the ability of the immune system to recognize cancer. But what we've been able to do is then design drugs that try to remove the brakes on the immune system, try to wake it up to recognize that a cancer is there. And for patients with lung cancer, this has really been life-saving. It's taught us that patients' own immune systems potentially have the capacity to cure them of their cancer. And so you've heard today from many patients that are living proof that supported basic research. Some of the groundbreaking studies that Siteman really taught us how the immune system recognizes cancer can really change lives. And so my research is really focused on why these immune therapies work for some patients and they don't work for others. And so what we've recognized over time is that cancers are really complex ecosystems. So some patients will have cancers that the immune system is woken up against, and we can treat patients with immunotherapy and patients do extremely well. Other patients, their immune system has really gone to sleep, and so we need potentially more and stronger medications to try to wake them up to try to go after their own cancers. And so what we've done at Siteman is design some really cutting edge technology to do a couple things. One is we can take apart patients' tumors. We can identify exactly which immune cells recognize the cancer. And it's actually quite a bit more complicated than perhaps you see on the commercials on television for medications like Opdivo and Keytruda. There's many different kinds of cells in a tumor. There's cells that help to heal the normal tissue. There's cells that have to go after different types of tumors. There's cells potentially that are bystanders that are trafficked there because they don't recognize. They're called in by inflammation, but they don't really help or hurt anything. And so what we've tried to do is learn about how the immune system recognizes cancer. And what that has enabled us to do is then to identify really what are the critical parts of the immune system that recognize cancer and design novel therapies to try to use to help our patients. And that knowledge has really led to some of the clinical trials that are going to change the next round of therapies. None of that research would be possible without funding. And so efforts like Pedal the Cause have really been critical to helping my research as well as many other researchers at Siteman to get our labs up and running and to be able to do this kind of work that's really going to affect our patients. And so thank you so much for coming out, for supporting us with Pedal the Cause. Hopefully this year won't be too hot like last year. And if anyone ever has any questions or wants to learn anything more about mesothelioma or other research at Sightline, I'm happy to talk. So thank you so much for inviting me to tell us a little about the work, and enjoy the rest of the day here.
Thank you, Dr. Ward. I'm going to talk just a little bit more. I promise I'll make it fast. One of the special things we've done over the years with Pedal the Cause is participate in the Ride for a Child program. The purpose is for our team to bond with the family of a child who has cancer and to distract them from the child's illness. Deja Oliver was our 2013 Ride for a Child partner. Deja had a brain tumor and experienced a stroke during her surgery to remove it. We lost Deja in 2014 at the age of 5. Sam Biggs was our 2014 Ride for a Child partner. Sam was diagnosed with hepatoblastoma in March of 2014 and was declared cancer-free that September, but his cancer came back. Our firm adopted Sam and his family that Christmas. Sam's mom told me that Sam said Christmas morning, "This is the best Christmas ever." Sam died a few weeks later. Sam loved Ninja Turtles, and he was the bravest warrior I have ever known. After losing Sam, we took a break from Pedal the Cause Ride for a Child program for a couple of years. In 2016, our Ride for a Child partner, beautiful Riley Faust, was brought to us by Lindsay Bollinger of our firm's medical team. Riley's parents were young. They went to high school together, Lindsay and them. Riley was diagnosed with leukemia at just the age of 6 months. Riley was treated at St. Louis Children's Hospital Seidman Center. I am happy to say that Riley rang the bell on January 12th of 2017 and is now cancer-free. Over the years, our team's name has evolved from MRHFM to MRHFM Meso Warriors. While we continue to fundraise for all cancers, we have been able to shift our team's name and focus to riding on behalf of our clients and the cancer from which they suffer, mesothelioma. This year, instead of partnering with a child who has cancer, we are riding in honor of a client who is being treated at Sightland Cancer Center and is receiving immunotherapy treatment that resulted from a cancer research that we helped fund. We are riding in honor of Pat Palubiak. By honoring Pat, we are honoring all of our clients and all victims of mesothelioma. Pat is tickled to be honored, as I knew she would be. Pat loves to be the center of attention, but she says we're not supposed to know that. And she has hopes of being seen on posters throughout the country. While we are excited and appreciative of everyone who joins our team, this year we are especially excited about one team member in particular. Our client and Cindy Moore's very good friend, Judy Goodson, has joined our MRHFM Meso Warrior team. Judy is traveling from Florida to spin with Cindy on September 30th. In 2012, our team had just 6 riders, 10 volunteers, and raised $6,000. Last year, our team had 34 riders, 35 volunteers, and we raised over $86,000. Unlike many not-for-profit organizations and charitable events, 100% of the money donated to Pedal the Cause goes to cancer research. So, we raised $86,971 last year. Since every dollar brings in another $7 in funding for research, we ultimately helped fund over $608,000 in cancer research. Since we outdid ourselves last year, we need to outdo ourselves this year, right? So our new goal this year is $100,000. If we do so, we will ultimately help fund over $700,000 in cancer research. New and exciting things are happening this year. I am really grateful and happy to say Brittany Fries is my co-captain. Thanks to many corporate sponsors and staff members, our team is sponsoring an online raffle. Please keep an eye out for Brittany's emails as we have great prizes and items are being added all the time. We have many riding opportunities from 10 to 100 miles. This is an amazing event. Not only are you riding with your teammates, co-workers, and friends, but you are visiting and riding with family members of cancer victims, oncology nurses and doctors, and cancer victims themselves. Pedal the Cause is the firm's biggest target charity, and because of that, the partners are paying the registration fee for staff members and will match dollar for dollar all funds raised by each individual up to $40,000 for the entire team. I will not go into all the details now, but if you are interested in volunteering or riding, I will be sending another very detailed email out later today, and please just reach out to me or Brittany. Please keep in mind there is no better way to show appreciation for our clients than to participate in Pedal the Cause and help fund cancer research that could ultimately give our clients' lives more time to spend with their families. There's just some pictures from Pedal the Cause over the years that will be rolling. If you have not already, just please think about it. And on a final note, I'd like to introduce for a moment Carrie Swigert, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Pedal the Cause, as she just wanted to share a few words with us today.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. It is my honor to be here on behalf of Pedal the Cause to present MRHFM Meso Warriors with the Bronze Impact Society Lifetime Fundraising Award for your efforts in the fight against cancer. And I would like to ask Captain Julia Lund to accept this award on behalf of your entire team. As you know, Pedal the Cause is a local nonprofit committed to finding cures for cancer, all cancers, for everyone. And we do so through peer-to-peer fundraising. So as Julia alluded to just a moment ago, you as a collective have, over the last 6 years, motivated your colleagues and your friends and family to join you in the fight. And those efforts have translated into $136,000 in fundraising efforts, earning you this membership in our Bronze Impact Society. To take that to the next level, as Julia also shared, is that 100% of those dollars are going to accelerate critical cancer research at Siteman Cancer Center and Siteman Kids at St. Louis Children's Hospital. Every dollar of that is going to research. And then on top of that, our return on investment that you are making is that every dollar Pedal donates On average, our researchers are going on to earn another $7 from the NIH and pharmaceutical companies. So the work you're doing is real. The work you're doing is making a difference, and I cannot express our gratitude enough to you for the efforts you've done over the last 6 years. And I know, as Julia just said, you've got lofty goals for this year, and we cannot wait to see you succeed and achieve those, and we are here to help you. And we know that together we are going to create a world without cancer. So thank you. Julia? Helped raise $19.8 million for cancer research. 101 projects are being in motion right now because of your efforts. And we just learned that one of those grants you helped fund has got a $5 million additional grant from the Department of Defense. So the work you're doing is making a difference. So thank you.
I forgot something. I just want to mention that in addition to Judy Goodson writing this year, I'm really appreciative of all of you that participate, but I think it's very special that Hannah Elijah's mom rides with us, and she's a breast cancer survivor. Also, we have Lynn Thunder and Taya coming from Portland this year. Just because you are not in our St. Louis office does not mean that you cannot participate. They have spinning bicycles, volunteer opportunities, bicycles to rent, and you can also participate as a virtual rider, which is having the fun of fundraising. So thank you, everybody, and keep up the great work, and let's keep trying to find a cure for cancer and help our clients.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. I appreciate everybody that came up and spoke and prepared. It's not easy to do, to speak in front of this many people. Thank you for Dr. Ward for coming, and thank you for Ms. Swagger for coming as well. Maggie just reminded me that parking passes will be in the back at the Pedal for the Cause table. Yeah, for those attorneys that are attending the all-attorney meeting, Wi-Fi is Curio meeting, and the password is 1820. And that's it. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for